Hey y'all, hey. I am tiptoeing my way back into this thing. A few things we gotta talk about, but the first is today's video topic. Today's video topic is how I plan my weeks as a multi-passionate woman balancing multiple roles. I know that's a long title, but I want you to know what we're getting ready to get into. I have my laptop here so we can talk about comparing calendars. I have my actual notebook that I use to plan my week. I got some sticky notes here, so we're gonna do a bit of show and tell. I'm gonna show you how I plan my week and tell you about it, and if it seems like something that'll work for you, then I encourage you to try it. So let's get ready to jump into that. Okay, so we are going to ease into things, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I'm a little bit nervous about this video. While I know it's going to be valuable, my hope is that I can do it in a way where you all can see everything. But again, I am a multi-passionate woman balancing multiple roles, and one of the things that has helped me to be successful as a person who's been a multi-passionate woman balancing and juggling multiple things for probably the last decade is the way that I plan. Like, when I was in college, I was also working. When I graduated college, I was working and doing different things. At one point, I was working and volunteering. I was working and I had a women's ministry called The Surrendered Life. I was working and then went back to school to get my master's in special ed. Then I graduated and I was teaching, and I was doing a coaching business at the time. And then I was serving and working, and now I'm working and creating my own women's community digitally online. So one of the things that I have found that helps me not be so stressed, I really am not a person that actually is stressed often. One of the things that helps me not be stressed is intentional planning. I literally sit down every Sunday night to plan my week. I do a week dump. I write down everything I have to do for every category of my life. I write down every meeting or commitment that I have, and then I use that list to make my to-do list from each day. So as we get ready to talk through this process, I just want you to know that that's what the process really is. So let me tell you a little bit about my roles, and then I'm going to walk through this. I got a blank piece of paper here, and I'm going to show you the chart that I make. I personally do this every week, sitting down with a pen and a paper. Like, this is my planning notebook. I use this to plan for every facet of my life. I have to think about which note I wrote myself. I use this notebook to plan for every facet of my life, and then I also keep it for the different facets of my life, in addition to having my calendars and different project systems or trackers throughout the week. Okay, so currently right now, I would say I'm balancing 3 roles and then my personal life. And that is how I plan my weeks. So I have a full-time role in a leadership position at Benedict College. I have a part-time role in a coordinator role for a nonprofit organization, and I am the head purpose pusher and the founder of the Purpose Pusher community, which is a women's empowerment community, both digitally and online and social media, all these wonderful things. And then I have my personal life, because I'm still a whole person who is working both of these jobs, building this women's community, and has responsibilities. So I would say I have 3 roles I'm balancing that I am passionate about, plus my personal life that I plan for every week. So my step 1 to you would be to identify the roles that you're planning for, plus your personal life. Now, for me, it's just me. Now, if you are married or if you have kids, then you may have more columns than me, but we're gonna get ready to make this chart. So for me, I usually do write out, it'll say like week of something. So tomorrow is March the 17th when you guys will probably see this. So I will write out week of March 17th at the top of my notebook, and I'm gonna show this to you all as well. And then I am going to get ready to create my column. So I'm gonna have 4 columns because there's 3 roles plus 1 personal life for me. So I'm gonna draw this chart and I'm gonna show it to y'all. Y'all don't judge me, because this is for visual aid purposes only. So I put the 2 initials or 3 initials of whatever part of my life, and then I make my chart. So as you can see here, we have week of March 17th. My pen was trying to run out. BC, this is my full-time role. HM, that's my part-time role. PPC for Purpose Pusher Co. and P for my personal life. Once you have those roles identified and you have your chart made for the week, the very first thing I do, I look at my calendars in the order of importance, and especially in order of I have to do this, right? Now, one could say, like, right now, to me, in my heart of hearts, the most important thing I'm doing is building a Purpose Pusher Co. But in order of responsibility is my full-time job, my part-time job, building this women's community in my personal life. And you could even switch that, like personal life and then Purpose Pusher community. So I do it in the things that I need to maintain. Hello, we need to get paid. So we're going to make our list first for the full-time and the part-time role. We're going to make it then for the women's community and then for myself. So the first thing I do is I look at my calendar for my full-time role. Okay. I start each section by looking at the calendar. So second, you're going to pull up your calendars. If you don't have one, this is a great moment to realize that you definitely need to have a calendar, especially for your job and then for everything else. So if I'm taking a look at, I'm actually going to use last week as an example. So last week when I looked at my calendar, I had 2 meetings on Tuesday. So I will literally personally write out Tuesday at 9:30. I had an FA meeting. Tuesday at 10:30, I had an assembly. I didn't have any meetings on Wednesday, and I had 3 meetings for my full-time role on Thursday. At 9 a.m., I had a call with the speaker at 10 a.m. I had an ambassadors meeting at 12 p.m. And then Friday, I had something at 11 a.m. So this is how I start my week. I will literally Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I write down what day it is, at what time I have this meeting, and any initials on who the meeting is with or the whole thing. I'm using initials because this is my business, and I'm just using these to help y'all understand the planning process. So I personally start with meetings and commitments for the full-time role. Then I go into major tasks. So if I'm looking at last week, I'll just do like 5 major tasks. So one of them was to go unlock the auditorium. One was to send a post survey. Another one was to look into student groups for a partnership. Y'all don't judge my handwriting because right now I'm kind of rushing so I can make sure I'm demonstrating this. But I also want it to be practical. So I'm taking my time through it, and hopefully this is helpful. I researched a partnership, and I did tasks related to filming. Now, usually I will say this is usually a very long list for me, like these 5 things. But I want to show y'all the process. So again, I start with the week of, I do the 4 columns, 3 for my responsibilities, right? And then 1 for my personal life. For each section, I am going to go through and write down the meetings or commitments I have, and then I write down the tasks that I have to do, usually related to things I did last week or what I'm doing this week, right? And then I go through and I do that for every section. Okay, so I did not want to make y'all sit through reading through all those things, through each example for each section. Again, my handwriting is a little bit like this, but I was trying to complete an example for you guys. So as you will see, in this section for Hope Match, I have 2 meetings, right? So I had a Wednesday evening meeting. I had a Friday check-in. I listed the top 5 tasks for Purpose Pusher Co. this week past. It was a pour call week. On pour calls, I poured into the women on entrepreneurship, leadership, or spiritual strategies. So it was a pour call week. And then Wednesday mornings, we do our community prayer call. So that was the commitment. And then these are some of the tasks that I had. Personal commitments I had last week. I'm trying to make sure this focuses with me, but really with the notebook. Personal commitments I had this past week was getting my hair cut, and then my lunch solo day outing that you guys saw yesterday, if you're watching this today on Sunday. I have some of my personal tasks, but this is just an example. When I go back to like some of my weeks from earlier this year, you can see that things range. You'll also see different things. So I do use this list, this style all the time. So this is just like one throwback version. I pretty much go through and plan my week like this all the time. Write the week out, write out the responsibilities for each section. And those responsibilities for each section include your meetings, commitments, and then your tasks. And then you just move through each column and do the same thing. Write out your meetings, commitments, and then your tasks for the week. So then this is the way that I plan my week. I start by doing this dump, and then I compare my calendars. So for me, even when I was doing that example, I started with my work calendar, and then I moved to my HM calendar, which is my part-time role. And then I moved to what's on the list for Purpose Pusher Co. And then lastly, I looked at what's on the list for me, Christian Mills, for my personal calendar. So this is honestly how I plan my week. I didn't know if this video would be short or long. One thing I will say is doing this helps me also plan my days as someone who, again, multi-passionate. And let's talk about that. Like, even these things I could go deeper on, but like, even when it comes to like creating content, like for YouTube or Instagram, like I usually put that in the personal section. One of the things I have is to film, upload, and edit a YouTube video. Or I may have like post 3 times this week on Instagram, post 2 times this week on TikTok. But one of my goals right now is growth on YouTube. So I am usually regularly posted on YouTube. I kicked this year off and I think I did 6 videos in a row, and I knew I was going to take a break for a week or 2. It's probably been 3 now, but I am back. And so that's something that also goes in my personal section. But if I wanted to create my columns differently, then I could have 5, right? I would have my BC full-time, my HM part-time, my PPC women's community, and I could have a content column and then personal. You can do this the way that's best for you. I typically only need this and then the individual calendars I have for each section. But if you want to take it a step further, you could assign a color to each of those sections and have one master calendar. Now, for major things, I do that. So I use my personal calendar as my one master calendar. If there's something that I know I need to prepare for personally for work, so let's say I want to make sure that I have to add extra travel time for something, or I want to remember that I have to dress a certain way for something, then I may add certain things from the columns that aren't personal to my personal calendar as a reminder. Like I typically add Purpose Pusher Co things in yellow to my to my personal calendar. Or I add work things to my personal calendar in green. I don't copy everything from every calendar to my personal calendar. I like it to be my personal calendar, but also my master calendar. So if I need to know one place I can look, I'm going to start with my plan for the week, and then I'm going to go to my personal calendar for anything that's major. I hope that this is helpful for you all. Now, I do want to show you how I plan my days as a bonus before I let you go. But if this is helpful to you, then take a second, like, comment, subscribe. If you have questions, let me know if there's anything that could be more detailed or helpful. But for me, I plan my week by doing a weekly dump on Sunday nights, dividing it by those category columns, and then I use this as the master to-do list for my week. So then let's say Monday comes, right? And the next Monday coming is Monday the 18th. So let's say I'm planning for Monday the 18th, but I'm using this list. I will write out the date at the top of my sticky notes. So March 18th. Actually, I got this wrong. Let me do it right. Usually I do write the day and the date, and sometimes I keep these sticky notes if I think I may need to refer to them for what I did on a certain day. And then other times I just let them go. But I start and I do this same process. So instead of writing the week of, I just write the date, Monday, March 18th. And then I do the columns again. This helps me. I just write it out. I write out the top things I need to do in each section, and then I put it on my laptop. So I'm going to make the columns again. I'm going to use BC for my full-time, HM for the part-time, PPC for the women's community, and personal. So this is a process that you can transfer over from you doing it during your Sunday night planning for the entire week and then using it for the day of. each day of the week rather. So if I'm shooting for Monday, then I'm literally gonna come and look at my list and see if I have any Monday commitments across the board, right? Across the board. So on here, there's only one Monday commitment, which was the purpose pusher call at 7 o'clock. So I'm gonna make sure that I fill in my commitments first, so I'm aware of what my day looks like. Monday at 7 p.m. is the pour call. And then I'm gonna go straight across. So pick some tasks that I would have to do for BC. Pick some tasks. What I typically do is I write down the 3 most important tasks for each area that I know are most important to complete each day for each area. So I'm just doing lines right now, but I want to be able to show you guys like the style. So let's say for BC, if last week I had a workshop, then 24 hours before, I like to make sure that everything is confirmed. I also would make sure that our student ambassadors that are there are present. We are working on some big things for things that are coming up in the future. So I would probably then make sure that I'm confirming something or doing a task that moves me towards the future, while also making sure I'm focusing on things in the present. And then I would go across and say what things do I have to do for HM, for Purpose Pusher Co, for personal. So this is how I plan my days, literally. Let's see if I have a sticky note, an old sticky note. Not that I don't think y'all believe me, but sometimes it's helpful to see. This is a newer notebook though. I got a newer at the beginning of the year. But yeah, I also like crossing things off. I don't know if anybody else is like me, but I like to cross something off, so I know my list is done. So this was for a Friday. This is a crossed off list. But again, I have the day, the date, I have the sections for what I'm focusing on. So this is my planning style. Again, let me know in the comments if this is helpful for you, if it's useful for you, if you guys want to see any other productivity hacks. I think that if I weren't an educator and loving what I'm doing with the Purpose Pusher community, empowering women to walk in their purposes and boldness with strategy and accountability, I would love to be a productivity coach one day. But right now, I just want to make sure I shared some productivity tips with you all and started with how you can plan your week in a way that can reduce stress and make sure you're aware of everything that's going on as a multi-passionate individual. I think there's so many things that can be said about multi-passionate or multi-hyphenate individuals, but I think you can do it. You can do it all if you plan well. And then you also have to give yourself grace. There are some days where I'm like, I'm not doing all the things on this list. Maybe a task took a turn. Maybe a meeting requires something else to be exchanged for a level of importance. Maybe tonight I need rest and we aren't finishing this list completely, but at least I already have the week planned, so I know how to rearrange my day or my schedule or my list for tomorrow. So that's all I got for y'all. I'm gonna get out of here because I don't want to be chatting just to be chatting. But again, hope this was helpful for you. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe on your way out. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them. Bye.